You were not raised inside truth, you were raised inside a performance. From your first memory, you were taught silence feels safer than presence. They told you kindness is armor, and softness is how you survive storms. They whispered that shrinking yourself would somehow make the world gentle. But look at the landscape of your life right now, without comforting lies. Who rises when decisions are carved into stone instead of spoken aloud? Who commands the room when uncertainty leaks through every silent face? Is it the one who waits for permission, or the one who claims the moment? You were never taught how power actually moves through human behavior. You were given bedtime stories instead of the mechanics of social gravity. Because the truth is heavy, and most people cannot carry it without breaking. Politeness, in many rooms, is just submission wearing a clean white mask. Every time you soften your voice to avoid tension, something else hardens. Predators recognize posture long before they recognize words or intentions. Manipulators smell hesitation the way sharks taste blood in dark water. And competitors map your boundaries by how quickly you surrender them. You think you are protecting peace, but you are auctioning your authority. You believe you are being good, while teaching others to treat you small. Your time becomes negotiable, your presence becomes optional, your voice becomes background noise. And slowly, invisibly, your reputation begins to rot from the inside out. If you have ever been ignored in a room full of noise and opportunity, if you have ever been spoken over like your thoughts were weightless air, understand this is not a talent problem, this is a behavioral signal. You are not being overlooked, you are being correctly interpreted. What we are about to cut open are 7 microscopic habits. Small enough to feel harmless, sharp enough to drain you daily. You carry them into emails, into meetings, into casual conversations. You believe they make you professional, cooperative, and easy to work with. But status does not rise through comfort, it rises through contrast and clarity. These habits do not protect you, they dissolve you in slow motion. They leak your presence one interaction at a time, until nothing remains. Only a hollow outline people step around without even noticing. Remove just a few of them, and something strange begins to happen. The air in the room changes before you even open your mouth. People pause, not because you demanded attention, but because you now carry it. They cannot explain the shift, but they can feel the pressure. This is not about becoming cruel, or loud, or theatrically dangerous. This is about becoming real in a world addicted to polite illusions. And nothing unsettles a comfortable system more than someone who stops pretending. So we begin the descent, not with a weapon, but with a reflex. The apology reflex is the first wound you learn to keep open. Someone collides with you in the street, and you bleed the word sorry. Your order arrives wrong, and you apologize for their mistake. You raise a hand in a meeting, and you apologize for existing. You think you are smoothing tension, but you are carving hierarchy. In the wild, when a wolf exposes its throat, it is not being kind. It is declaring itself harmless, lower, unworthy of challenge or space. Every unnecessary apology is you offering your throat to the room. Language is not just sound, it is a system of invisible economics. An apology is a debt paid to restore balance after real damage. But when you pay debts you do not owe, you cheapen your currency. Your words inflate until they collapse under their own emptiness. So when you finally make a real mistake, one that actually matters, your apology carries no weight, because you spent it on breathing. You trained people to hear your remorse as background noise. Even sincerity becomes invisible when it is constantly on display. This reflex is born from fear, not kindness, and not humility. It is a preemptive bow to avoid imagined conflict and rejection. But here is the darker law of human behavior you were never shown. People do not respect those who lower themselves, they dominate them. There is a force inside every social exchange, pulling toward balance. When you move down, the other person is pushed upward by instinct. You hand them the position without ever seeing the transaction occur. Dominance is not claimed loudly, it is accepted quietly by the one who kneels. So you flip the script, not with aggression, but with precision. You do not apologize for negatives, you acknowledge positives instead. Not sorry I am late, but thank you for waiting for me. Feel how the frame shifts without raising your voice at all. Now you are not seeking forgiveness, you are recognizing their patience. You are not small in the moment, you are anchored inside it. Gratitude becomes a blade wrapped in silk, not a plea for mercy. And the room adjusts around you without realizing why. Stop apologizing for occupying space that already belongs to you. Stop shrinking to make other people feel taller than they are. The only time sorry should leave your mouth is when harm was real. For everything else, silence is stronger than surrender. And as this habit dies, something else begins to wake up inside you. Because this is only the first door, and behind it waits something colder. A behavior even more invisible, even more dangerous to your authority. And that is where the real descent truly begins. Habit 2. The submission smile. Here is a scenario. Your boss is criticizing you unfairly, or a client is making a rude out-of-line comment, or someone is cutting you in line. You feel the anger rising in your chest. You feel the injustice. But what is your face doing? You are smiling. A tight, nervous plastic smile. This is the #1 killer of reputation, and you are likely doing it subconsciously. Why do we smile when we are uncomfortable? Why do we grin when we are being disrespected? It is the thorn response. Again, in evolutionary psychology, this is a defense mechanism. Primate baring their teeth. When a chimp is terrified of a larger male, it pulls its lips back to show its teeth. It's a grimace of fear. It signals, I am harmless. I am friendly. Please don't kill me. When you smile while being insulted, you are signaling to the aggressor's reptile brain that you accept their dominance. You are telling them that their bad behavior is acceptable. You are rewarding them for hurting you. Think about how twisted that is. You are training people to treat you poorly by rewarding them with a smile every time they do it. It creates a cognitive dissonance in the viewer. They see your eyes, which are fearful or angry, and your mouth, which is smiling. This makes you look untrustworthy. It makes you look weak. A leader's face matches the situation. Congruence is power. If the situation is serious, your face should be serious. If the situation is disrespectful, your face should be cold. The fix. You must reclaim your face. The next time someone is rude to you or says something out of line, do not smile. Do not get angry. Anger is a reaction, and reaction is weakness. Do the deadpan stare. Relax your facial muscles. Look them directly in the eyes and do nothing. Say nothing. Let the silence stretch out. By removing the emotional reaction, you force the other person to sit in the uncomfortable silence of their own rudeness. You mirror their aggression with a void. You will see them squirm. They will stutter. They will try to fill the silence because they realize their attack didn't land. They expected a nervous smile. You gave them a stone wall. That is the moment the power dynamic shifts. Stop smiling when you aren't happy. It confuses your allies and emboldens your enemies. Habit 3, the oversharing justification. Jade. You have been asked to do a favor you don't want to do, or you missed a deadline, or you are declining an invitation. You say no, but you don't stop there. You launch into a monologue. I can't come because my cat is sick. And then my car broke down. And honestly, I've just been so overwhelmed lately with this project. You are vomiting words. You are over-explaining. In the world of dark psychology, this is known as the JA technique. Justify, argue, defend, explain. It is a trauma response. It usually comes from a childhood where no wasn't enough. You had to provide a lawyer-level defense just to have a boundary. But in the adult world of reputation and power, over-explaining is a death sentence. Why? Because he who speaks less wins. When you give someone a list of reasons why you can't do something, you are not being polite. You are handing them ammunition to debate you. If you say, I can't help you move because I don't have a truck, they will say, oh, I rented one. Now you are trapped. If you say, I can't meet because I'm busy Tuesday, they will say, how about Wednesday? You have turned a decision into a negotiation. More importantly, over-explaining signals guilt. It signals that you do not believe you have the right to say no. You are asking for their permission to have a boundary. You are submitting your evidence to the jury and hoping they find you innocent. High-status individuals do not do this. A CEO does not write a 3-page essay on why they are declining a meeting. No is a complete sentence. That doesn't work for me is a complete thought. The fix. Practice the executive no. Give the refusal and at most one vague reason. I can't make it. I have a prior commitment. My schedule is full. And then this is the hardest part. Stop talking. Do not fill the silence that follows. That silence is where your dignity lives. If you feel the urge to explain, recognize it for what it is, anxiety. It is your inner child terrified of rejection. Soothe the child, but let the adult speak. Your reasons are for you. They are not for the jury. Stop acting like you are on trial for living your own life. Habit 4. The trap. You just finished explaining a complex idea. You laid out your plan. You gave your instructions and then you dropped the bomb that destroys everything you just said. Does that make sense? You think you are being considerate. You think you are checking for understanding. You aren't. You are insulting yourself and you are insulting your listener. Let's break down the subtext of this phrase. Subtext A. I am a terrible communicator who cannot string a coherent sentence together. So, I need to check if you understood my gibberish. Subtext B. I think you are stupid and might not have the cognitive capacity to grasp my basic concepts. It is a lose-lose situation wrapped in a polite question. Psychologists call this assurance seeking. It is a verbal tic that reveals deep insecurity. You are not asking if the content makes sense. You are asking if you are making sense. You are begging for validation. Imagine a pilot coming over the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to experience turbulence and I'm going to take us to a higher altitude. Does that make sense? You would be terrified. You would grip the armrests and pray. Why? Because a leader assumes clarity. A leader knows what they are saying is coherent because they know what they are talking about. When you ask, does that make sense? You instantly lower your status relative to the listener. You place them in the position of the judge who gets to decide if your words have value. The fix. Delete that phrase from your vocabulary immediately. Assume you made sense. If you genuinely need to check that the other person is following, flip the dynamic from seeking validation to inviting collaboration. Instead of, does that make sense? Ask, what are your thoughts? How does that sound to you? Do you have any questions? See the difference. Does that make sense? Asks, am I okay? What are your thoughts? Asks, are you with me? It keeps you in the driver's seat. It treats the other person as a peer, not a confused student. And it treats you as an authority, not a nervous amateur. Trust your voice. If they didn't understand, let them take the responsibility to ask. Habit 5, the yes addiction. Pathological agreeableness. We live in a culture that glorifies the yes man. The person who is always available, always down, always ready to help. You think being the go-to person makes you indispensable. Actually, it makes you invisible. It is basic economics, supply and demand. If the supply of your time is infinite, if you say yes to every coffee chat, every extra project, every favor, the value of your time drops to zero. Scarcity creates value. Gold is valuable because it is rare. Air is vital, but it is free because it is everywhere. You have become air. Necessary perhaps, but taken completely for granted. Psychologists call this pathological agreeableness. It stems from a fear of abandonment. You believe that if you say no, people will stop liking you. You believe your utility is the only reason people keep you around. So you become a resource to be mined. And the dark reality is that this breeds hidden resentment. You say yes with your mouth, but your soul screams no. That cognitive dissonance rots you from the inside out. You become bitter. You become passive-aggressive. And people can smell that fake enthusiasm from miles away. Even worse, humans respect boundaries more than they respect compliance. Think about the people you respect most. Are they the ones who bend over backward for everyone, or are they the ones who have a clear mission and protect their time fiercely? The person who says, I can't do that right now. I'm focused on X. Is viewed as a high-value professional with priorities. The person who says sure to everything is viewed as a pushover with no direction. You teach people how to treat you. If you never say no, you are teaching them that your needs do not exist. You are teaching them that you are an NPC, a non-player character in their video game just waiting around to facilitate their quest. The fix. You must manufacture scarcity. Even if you are free, do not always be available. Pause before you agree. Check your internal compass. Let me check my schedule and get back to you. That phrase alone buys you power. It signals that your time is accounted for, that your life has structure. Start saying no to the small things so you have the energy to say yes to the big things. Stop setting yourself on fire just to keep other people warm. They won't mourn your ashes. They'll just look for another log to burn. Habit 6, the just virus. Linguistic castration. Let's look at your inbox. Let's look at your text messages. Search for the word just. I just wanted to check in. I just have a little question. I'm just following up. This tiny 4-letter word is the most destructive virus in the English language. It is the verbal equivalent of walking into a room with a kick me sign taped to your forehead. Why do we use it? We use it to soften the blow. We use it to make ourselves smaller so we don't appear aggressive. I just wanted to ask. Translates psychologically to: I know my existence is an annoyance to you, so I'm going to minimize my request to the absolute microscopic level so you don't get mad at me. This is what linguists call hedging. It is a protective shield used by people who are terrified of their own authority. But here is the irony. When you use qualifiers like just, sort of, kind of, or maybe, you signal to the listener's primal brain that you do not believe in what you are saying. And if you don't believe it, why should they? If a surgeon walked in before your operation and said, I'm just going to sort of try to fix your heart today, you would run. You want a surgeon who says, I am going to fix your heart. Certainty is safety. Ambiguity is danger. When you hedge, you are not being polite. You are being unsafe. You are making the people around you anxious because they can't feel your backbone. Psychologically, humans naturally value confidence over competence. It is a nasty cognitive bias, but it is real. When you minimize your speech, people subconsciously assume your value is minimal, too. You are framing your request as a burden before they even hear it. The fix. Go on a just detox for the next 7 days. Delete the word just from every email and text before you hit send. It will feel aggressive. It will feel rude. You will type, I am checking in on the report, and your brain will scream too harsh and adjust. Resist that scream. I am checking in on the report. It is not rude. It is clear. I have a question. It is not demanding. It is a statement of fact. Leaders do not just want a moment. They take it because they know they matter. Stop apologizing for your own intent. Habit 7, the self-roast ritual. This is the final nail in the coffin, and it is the one you think makes you charming. You make fun of yourself. Oh, I'm such a disaster today. I'm terrible at math. Don't ask me. I'm a total mess. You think self-deprecation makes you sound humble. You think it makes you relatable, approachable, one of the guys. Wrong. It makes you look like a liability. There are 2 dark psychological mechanisms at play here. First is confirmation bias. The human brain is lazy. It doesn't want to do the hard work of evaluating you from scratch. It looks for shortcuts. When you tell people, I am disorganized, you are giving them the label to slap onto your file. Once you label yourself, the people around you subconsciously start filtering your actions to match that label. If you drop a pen, they think, see, he said he was a disaster. If you do something great, they ignore it because it doesn't fit. You are actively marketing your own incompetence. Stop doing the opposition's research for them. The second mechanism is forced emotional labor. This is the part that is actually rude. When you insult yourself, I look so ugly today, you force the listener into an awkward social contract. Social norms dictate that they have to disagree with you. They have to say, no, no, you look great. You aren't being modest. You are fishing for validation. You are trapping your friends and colleagues in a script where they have to perform unpaid emotional labor to fix your insecurity. It is exhausting to be around someone who constantly trashes themselves. Eventually, they will stop arguing with you. Eventually, when you say, I'm a mess, they will just nod. And that is the day your reputation dies. The fix. Kill the self-roast. If you make a mistake, own it, fix it, and move on. Do not turn it into a character trait. I made an error on the spreadsheet. Here is the corrected version. Not I'm so stupid, I always mess up numbers. Separate the behavior from the identity. And if you want to be humble by highlighting others, not by debasing yourself. True humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. So why do we do this? Why do we apologize, smile, hedge, and roast ourselves into oblivion? Because we are terrified of our own shadow. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, taught that every human being has a shadow. The part of the psyche that contains our aggression, our power, our selfishness, and our capacity for danger. From a young age, you were taught that your shadow was bad. You were taught that anger is bad, that selfishness is bad, that disagreement is bad. So, you repressed it. You cut off half of your psyche and locked it in the basement. You became the nice person. But here is the profound uncomfortable truth no self-help book will tell you. You cannot be a good person if you are not capable of being dangerous. If you are harmless, if you are incapable of saying no, incapable of conflict, incapable of defending yourself, you are not virtuous. You are just weak. A rabbit is not virtuous because it doesn't eat the wolf. It can't eat the wolf. True virtue, true power comes from having the capacity for mayhem, the capacity for aggression, the capacity to be rude if necessary, and then keeping that power under voluntary control. That is what it means to be a gentleman or a gentlewoman. You have to have the power to be gentle, otherwise you are not gentle. You are just broken. The habits we discussed today, the smiling, the apologizing, the self-deprecation, these are the behaviors of a person who has rejected their own shadow. You are trying to prove to the world, look, I am harmless. I am nice. Please love me. And the world looks at you with contempt. Because the world knows that a person who cannot protect themselves cannot protect anyone else. When you stop these habits, you are not becoming a villain. You are integrating your shadow. You are showing your teeth just for a second, not to bite, but to smile. And in that flash of teeth, people see that you are whole. They see that you have boundaries. They see that you respect yourself. And because you respect yourself, they will respect you. This is not an overnight fix. Tomorrow, you will urge to apologize. You will urge to say just. You will urge to smile when you are angry. It is a biological addiction to submission. But now you have the red pill. Now you can see the code. Every time you catch yourself doing it, you have a choice. Do you want to be the prey or do you want to be the architect of your own reality? The next time you walk into a room, try it. Hold the eye contact a second longer. Drop the just. Accept the compliment with a simple thank you. Feel the tension in the air. That tension is not something to fear. That tension is the weight of your new reputation settling into place. Welcome to the other side. If this opened your eyes, you're not like the others. Subscribe now and step deeper into the mind behind these shadows. Comment your strongest insight from this video below. Let your perspective become part of the conversation. Then explore the next videos waiting on this channel. Each one takes you further than the last. This is only the beginning.